Okay, so a couple things that we need to talk about. Say, yes, I have reassessed my client.
Yes.
Okay, so in reassessing your client, give me some cool feedback as to what you have found. What are some of the problems? What are some of the wins? What do we have going on? Be bold, be brave, and go. Hey, you want to start with the good, or you want to start with the challenges?
Good.
Start with the good. All right, what's going awesome?
Mine, like, he was about like 15% body fat.
Okay.
About 13, and he maintained his weight really long.
Okay, so we're gonna do the math behind that in a minute. Okay, so he was at 15, and now he's down to 13. Awesome, with maintaining total body mass. That is awesome. What else has been awesome that's gone on? Colin.
Camden lost 7 pounds and fat mass and gained 6 pounds in muscle mass.
Whoa, that is epic. So we're really talking about a 1 net loss, which, you guys, if the addition of that is mass, that means functionality on the court. That is awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm going to go get to touch base with them as soon as we're finished here and seeing their eyes and all that fun stuff. So give me some other good things.
My girl lost 2 pounds of fat and gained 3 pounds of muscle.
Oh, y'all are doing awesome. What else is going on? Go for it, Natalia.
My girl, she lost like 5 pounds and gained 2 pounds of muscle. She's trying to get ready for her wedding.
That's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. So there was fat mass to lose, yes or no? Yes. Awesome. Okay, any other? It sounds like y'all are right on tap so far. I'm so proud of you. What else is happening?
Mine said he's starting to love working out again.
Starting to enjoy being in more energy, being in the gym again. Any feedback on people sleeping better? No feedback on sleep. Remember, are y'all asking about sleep? You got to ask about sleep because that is a critical portion of the things we have going on. What are some roadblocks that we have run up against? Okay. Water. So let's all get creative about ways we could all drink more water. Number one, you just have to almost decide to do it. Yes or no?
Yes.
You just almost have to decide to do it. What are some other ways?
Propel.
Adding did y'all try the Propel that I told y'all to get? You know, and especially like with Camden and being such a profuse sweater, sometimes just the powdered Propel sticks, they don't add any sugar. They do add some flavor. I told y'all my favorite one is the grape one. Okay, it's that flashback of grape Kool-Aid whenever I was a fat kid. And it just really kind of, every now and then you do want some other flavor. So that's always an option. Does anyone in here like what I call just plain fizzy water? Okay. I like a fizzy water every now and then, whether it's a Topo Chico, whether it's one of the other brands where it's not sweetened, but it's just that carbonated fizzy thing. So that's always, like I said, I drink one. That's my thing as I drive home every day as I drink my LaCroix for that. That's what I save that for my fizzy time. Usually a handful of almonds and my LaCroix or my ride home with that. So God bless you. So what are some other water tricks?
I told her like 32 ounces when you wake up and then right before you go to bed.
Absolutely. The one thing about the big time water consumption before you go to bed, okay, is a lot of times you end up having to wake up and pee in the middle of the night. And that's kind of messing with the possibility of not as much deep sleep. So I do tell people, try to get their biggest amounts of water consumption in, you know, within a couple hours of when they go to bed so that you can finally, you know, just pee and go to bed and then sleep all night. So kind of got to be careful with that. We don't want to lose sleep in an effort to maybe keep I mean, it's kind of like a worst to best of both worlds. Okay. So what are some other ideas as far as water consumption?
Every time I walk in my front door, I get some water right there, and I grab one.
Perfect. So you've made it just a routine to where you walk in, grab, hammer, move on. Ben, that is an awesome idea. So where you're making it just the same normal function that you would do just like when you brush your teeth. I mean, it just becomes a critical part of what you got going on. You guys, you can always squeeze a lemon in it, squeeze a lime in it, throw some cucumbers in it, throw some mint in it. A lot of times I'll go through things where I'll just take a giant sprig of mint, pull it from my yard, and just stick it down in my water bottle, give it a shake, 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 and then it's just kind of some mint water. So that's one of the things. Another thing's ways to get hydration in, and it's a little bit easier now that the weather's gotten cooler, is a lot of times there are some really cool herbal teas like to drink in the evening, like a sleepy time, bedtime tea. That's one that, of course, you don't want it to have caffeine in it, but you're getting a little bit more hydration in. And you're actually, as the weather gets colder, you need to be sure that you're trying to go to sleep with your core temperature warm, even though you're still sleeping in that cooler environment. Okay? Any other water ideas? That's a lot of great things right there. Okay? All right, someone gonna grab onto some of those ideas just to be sure that those are working with stuff. Another thing that you can do is, after you eat that orange or that cutie, you can actually just stick that peeling in that water. And so that zest of that lemon or that lime or whatever, that orange, will then sort of permeate out into your water. So that's a really cool thing to get things going. So any other big challenges? Getting your protein up. So let's talk about 1,000,001 ways to get protein up. You eventually sometimes, especially with people that are needing those high protein requirements, you do need to use some sort of protein powder supplementation. And y'all know I mainly want people to eat what? Real food. But, and we're going to do some math here in a minute where I'm going to show you what we had to do with our son to ensure that he got his protein requirements up when he decided he wanted to make some changes. And we did have to use some supplemental products to ensure that that happened. So what are some other ways to ensure you're getting protein up? Georgia, what you got? Okay, what are some other ways to get protein up? Kind of like the thing with water, you just have to decide to do it. One of the big downfalls that people said in yesterday's class, just kind of comparing feedback, is some people are having a hard time getting their people to log their food. Okay, you guys, food logging is just a critical part of it. And I'm going to ask you a straight on question. How many of you are still being good about logging your own food? Okay, I know there are days that you do and days that you don't, but you guys, you've got to stay on the food logging train. You guys, I still log, and it gets, have y'all noticed that it gets easier and easier because it starts to pick up the foods that you put in there? You guys, I still log mine. And at the beginning of the semester, when I had all that stuff going on and I was so sick and I was really trying to intentionally get some muscle mass back, you guys, that was really how I held myself accountable, because I could get to the end of the day and say, okay, no wonder you're not building muscle mass back. You've eaten 912 calories. So can the body build muscle mass when it's only had 912 calories? It can't. So that's why knowing those numbers are such a critical point. So if your person or you are sort of lagging behind in doing that food journaling, encourage them, and this is McKay also saying, get back in the action of recording your own food without a doubt. It's a critical way for you to know what's going on. Colin.
What if your client's primarily stuck in D-hall and can't really measure amounts like you could if you were meal prepping?
Here's what I'll say is, and that's a great question, stuck in the D-hall not knowing amounts. If you could navigate dining hall experience with them one time, the cool thing is a lot of times when you go to the dining hall, a lot of it you can sort of eyeball serving size. You know, if you end up getting, God bless you, if you end up getting a grilled chicken breast or grilled chicken thigh, most of the time you can hammer that in as one serving. Okay, and it's just sort of teaching people that, you know, is it a cup of greens? Is it a half a cup of greens? Is it all of these things. So really kind of getting them used to really, God bless you,
Thank you.
eyeballing those serving sizes, and then again, dialing it in. You guys, I had a night last night where I just couldn't get not hungry. I mean, I ate dinner and then really I was hungry again. And so I really started looking at the day before, and I was really under my caloric requirement on Sunday. And so it's on Monday. So yesterday, and so I kept finding myself going back to the peanut butter jar. That's kind of one of my things that I do. Before I know it, I have my own jar and my own spoon, and I'm just standing in the kitchen eating peanut butter. But the interesting thing is, a serving of peanut butter is 2 tablespoons. Well, I had to go in and log because I just didn't have 2 tablespoons. I might have had so I had to go in and actually see that was, so 6 tablespoons of peanut butter is how many servings? That's 3 servings. So we have to account for that. And so after I hammered in 3 tablespoons of peanut butter, what do you think would happen to my overall caloric intake? What did it do? Skyrocketed. Why? Because peanut butter is a what? It's a calorically dense, nutritive, and food. So it's a great thing. Also, a cool thing, and we're going to talk about people that are still needing to add calories to their diet. You guys, going with nuts and going with nut butters is a super easy way to add that perfect balance of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins that we're always looking for. So that's okay. Georgia, you had a oh no moment. Okay. So if that's the reality of it, if your person is going to eat Taco Bell, how do you teach them how to navigate Taco Bell better? And that is, you ever wake up and you say, man, I never thought I'd say that today. But if that's the reality, how do you make the reality better?
It's usually not like a lot. It's more like if we have like a lot of conditioning that day on our team. So we do burn a lot of calories. And she's like, so the last week since we've been running a lot, we eat like more hungry.
Oh yeah.
Days. So like I was saying the other night we were going to do studying and we passed by Taco Bell and chicken stuff.
Okay, so what did she grab?
It was a quesarito with no meat. She doesn't eat red meat.
Okay.
And 2 soft tacos.
So, but no meat on the soft tacos, or at least maybe some chicken.
There's meat on the soft tacos.
Okay. So you know that all that nutritional stuff is dialed. I mean, you could actually go in and you can type in Taco Bell, quesarito, all of this, and have it populate for MyFitnessPal. Did y'all populate the FitnessPal to see what the numbers actually did?
I told her to do it. I gotta check up on that.
Okay, because in reality, it might not have been as terrible as you thought it was. So what I tell people, if you're going to navigate, say you're going to go through a quick Taco Bell run and that's what you're going to do, I tell people, grab 2 tacos, ditch one of the shells, double pack 1 taco. I mean, that's a good, better, best navigation option with all of that. But stop and really have them think about all of those things. And then, again, if you will cook a ton of stuff on the weekend, you guys, food prep, make up a bunch of quesadillas. You guys, and use corn tortillas because they're a lot higher in fiber and they're not going to have the blood sugar reaction as much as a flour tortilla. You guys, that way you have cooked food stuff all the time with you. Grill a bag of chicken thighs, all of a sudden get your grill out, make up those quesadillas, rock and roll. And really, we're coming in as an athlete, I don't have a problem with them coming in and having a quesadilla as a replenishment meal. It's a great balance of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. It's a wonderful balance with that. So it could be worse. Now, if you're just doing the plain old like nachos with the grody fake cheese, we can do better than that. Okay? We can do better than that for sure. Yes, Lane.
On that quesadillas, it would be bad because Walmart sells some sauce that you can put on it.
Huh.
Like, is that bad to add to it? Like, I mean, it's not real food, but
Like just a pecani sauce or a hot sauce?
yeah.
Heck yeah, add that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, just because pecani sauce comes in a jar, that doesn't mean that I don't think that's real food.
Okay.
Yeah, that's real food. I'm not expecting you to necessarily, you don't have to pico out your own all the time. Okay, that's real food. So yes, and that's one of those things that if you love hot sauce and you love that stuff, add it. You know, I love it's not the red Tabasco, but it's the green jalapeno Tabasco sauce. I love the jalapeno Tabasco sauce with that. So to me, I still consider that real food. Okay, so one of the cool things in our units this week talks about safe ways to continue to decrease body fat and then the proper ways to increase muscle mass as it actually comes down to jacking with math. So what I want you to do is I want you to start out with almost just a blank piece of paper and get your calculator out. Okay, so one of the things that I feel like that we have not been great at doing in the fitness industry, okay? And y'all, has anyone ever kind of witnessed Dr. Laurent and Ms. Nelson and I having these really cool conversations that we love to have? It's so much fun. Well, let me ask you a question. This is so hard to say this. Is a lie really a lie if it's told, but the outcome still was for the greater good?
Yes.
Still a lie? Okay. Let me tell you what we've done in the health and fitness industry. We have sold exercise as a phenomenal, powerful weight management tool. Is it really?
Health management.
What, so I was talking with weight management. No, not weight management, but health management tool. Yes. Now, I do love that Cora said that, you know, her client is feeling better, so they do feel like they can be successful in the gym again now. That's awesome. That is aiding to that overall benefit. But if we are simply telling people that you can, quote, lose weight by simply adding exercise, is that the truth? Absolutely not. Okay, so here's what I want us to stop and think. What kind of people are you? Smart people. Okay, so a couple years ago, it's kind of interesting. I told y'all that I come from a non-exercising and really sort of an unhealthy family. And if I haven't told you that, now you know. So I decided that I wanted to kind of go in a little bit different route. And because I've sort of moved in a different route, I'm kind of slowly pulling my family with me. My dad had to have a quadruple bypass not this last March, but the year before over spring break. My dad is very active. He does not intentionally exercise. My mom is a retired teacher, which means she's very active, but never intentionally exercised. So with my mom, and I still have not convinced my dad this, but that's my dad, okay? So, but with my mom, I finally convinced my mom, and it started with just 10 minutes at a time, to actually just go walk for 10 minutes, not with the intention of losing weight, but simply with the intention of enhancing your health, okay? And that was about 2 years ago. And so now it's gone from 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So my mom, without fail, 7 days a week, walks briskly for 30 minutes. Now, and here's the thing. I wish she would do more. She's not gonna. This was the win I'll settle for. Now, here's what's happened. Y'all help me do math. So even if you're walking briskly, okay, for 30 minutes, you're approximately going to cover about 2 miles. Okay. How many calories do you approximately burn over that 2 miles? About 200 calories. Okay. Now, here's what we all know. How quick could you put 200 calories back in your mouth?
2 or 3 bites. 1 bite.
You know that peanut butter problem I mentioned last night? Times 3. Okay, that was 500 calories worth of peanut butter that I put in last night. That's how quick it was. Now, what happens to our metabolic rates as we age? They slow down. Now, one of the things I want to show you that is interesting is what we're seeing is after the age of 22, the average American, okay, this is someone that's really just sort of eating what we call the standard American diet, and someone that's not intentionally exercising, after age 22, you typically gain 2 pounds of fat per year. That's a lot. Okay. Now, and that's even if you're only maintaining that same caloric expenditure because your metabolic rate is slowing down. That's where the extra 2 pounds of fat comes from. So let's all of a sudden go back to my sweet mama, Sarah. She's doing her 2 miles. Okay. Now, she's doing this 7 times a week. So someone tell me where we are with caloric expenditure weekly now. Okay. So now we're at 1,400 calories a week. Okay. So now, how many weeks are in a year? Okay. So someone give me 1,400 times 52. 5,800. Okay. So here's what's interesting. Is that right?
No.
No.
No, it's 17,800.
I was going to say, it's a lot more than that. Because I was like, that math doesn't add up from yesterday. I need an eraser. That's what I was like, that doesn't add up. Hey, let me go get it. I was using my hand as my eraser the other day and ruined a pair of pants.
Hello. No, it's gonna be.
All right, is everybody back in the game? Okay, give me the new math.
72,800.
72. Everybody got it? I got it when you got it. Okay.
800.
Eight.
72,800.
Oh, 72,800. Okay, because here's the thing. This is gonna explain a lot of things to you when you finally stop and think about things. Now, I'm going to divide this number by 3,500. Does anyone know what the 3,500 signifies? That's how many calories are in 1 pound of body fat. So you have to end up being in a negative 3,500 caloric deficit to burn 1 pound of body fat. Okay, now someone do the math on this.
20.8.
Okay, so now, in reality, you're like, oh, you're telling me your mom lost 20 pounds that year? she prevented herself from doing what? Gaining 20 pounds potentially that year. Okay? Because listen to this. Okay, think about this. If the average American is gaining 2 pounds per year over the age of 22, okay? My sweet mama just turned 70. What's 22? What's 70 minus 22? What, 58? Okay. You have the potential to, I was gonna say, I'm up here writing your numbers down, come on. Okay. Yes, you have the potential to gain anywhere between 40 and 50 pounds as you age. And now, what kind of people are you?
Smart people.
If you were to go back and ask, especially more so meso and endo people, what they weighed when they were 22 as compared to when they were 65, 70 years old, most of them are about 30 pounds heavier. Because they have not realized what's happening to their metabolic rate. So if we could get people to simply move more and to simply reduce caloric expenditure just a bit, okay, that's when we can really kind of stall, not only stall this, but actually maybe make it even better. Does that make sense? So what I've done with my mom is not only is Sarah moving her 2 miles a day, we have gone and I figured out my mom's BMR. Someone say, oh, I know how to do that. Okay. So I have my mom's BMR figured out. I never, when? Okay. I never have figured mom's caloric expenditure need over 130%. Never. That's just, she's meso-endo. She is not running marathons. So she is never over 130%. So what I can do is, once I go all of a sudden and get her adjusted BMR, and here's the whole thing. She's female, so remember I got to do that next 0.9, level down. And then she also is a lean factor 2. So what am I doing to her BMR? Dropping and dropping and dropping. So when we think about this, if I think about sweet Sarah, I have my mom's caloric intake at about that. She's not, I mean, she's 5'4". She's not majorly active. So one of the things that I can have mom do to really help stave this off is we can add the movement. And then if I can just pull off 100 calories, how easy is it to pull off 100 calories out of your, yes, you realize you just pull off 100 calories, that could prevent 12 pounds over the year? People think that you have to make all of these drastic changes. You really don't. So if I'm getting 2 miles of movement plus a reduction of 100 calories, what's my negative net then for mama?
300.
I'm at a negative 300 net, which means now instead of 200 times 7, now let's do 300 times 7 times 52.
109.
You guys, this is going to sound really geeky right now and probably not the best conversation to have over the Thanksgiving dinner table. However, people need to see that little changes over the long run can make a huge difference in their life. A huge difference in their life. And it really, 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 really matters. Okay? You guys, and let's even pretend that 100 calories that they changed, let's just say all of a sudden, maybe that was just getting rid of drinking a Coke.
So now they're dropping their sugar intake too.
Which not only have we helped here, what have we gigantically reduced their risk of? Heart disease, and especially related to what? Type 2 diabetes. So you guys, it's so interesting how all this makes such a big difference. So if you're dealing with someone that is still trying to reduce the amount of body fat, okay, you need to be careful with the fact that doing it slow and steady is what wins the race. Now, what kind of people are you? If all of a sudden I'm hearing you, and I didn't hear any of this, so I'm loving it. If I'm hearing that your client all of a sudden over the last 5 weeks has lost 15 pounds. Okay, someone tell me 15 times 3,500. Okay, so now you've only been working with them for 5 weeks. So divide that by 5 for me. Do you mean to tell me you've reduced their caloric intake by 10,000 calories? You have just put them into major using muscle as their only fuel. You're basically starving them. Okay, which is worse than intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting with a purpose, there's some really kind of cool data coming out about that, but a slow starvation diet is what kills people. Okay, it's so interesting. Now, how many of you that are still working with people that are really trying to reduce body fat can now kind of go back to the drawing? Because here's the whole thing. Many of you told me that your clients now have different numbers. If your clients have different numbers now, do you need to adjust their nutrition program? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Because what changed them when they were one set of numbers is not going to change them anymore. Okay? How many of you are working with clients that are trying to gain muscle mass? Oh, let's talk about this story, because this is what is awesome. Does anyone want to take a picture of that? Just so that you understand the math and you see where it's all kind of coming from, that it makes sense. Because you guys, this is a super easy key to success. Okay? All right. So now, let's talk about safe, efficient weight gain. And you guys, this was in your chapter this week. So you should be, what is that doing? Stop. How do you get this whole thing to go away? There we go. Yeah. Okay. All right. So one of the things that it taught you in your book was how many extra calories does someone need to be able to safely build muscle? Because remember, your body is doing 4 things. It is either building, it is either burning, it is either storing, or it is dying, which we'll put / starving. Okay. Now, here's what we want. We never want the body to be burning what as the fuel source? Muscle. We never want it to be storing what? Excess body fat. We want it to be doing what to muscle? Building muscle. And we don't want it to be slowly withering away. Okay. So let's go with a plan that I was able to put together that was executed perfectly by this person that lived under my roof. Okay. So Cash McKay, what? First off, Cash is an ectomorph. Tell me what you know about that somatotype. What are some characteristics? Fast metabolism. Have a hard time building muscle mass. Do they need surplus calories or negative calories typically? Surplus calories. Okay. So Cash decided, which remember, people have to decide they want change. You can encourage, you can motivate, but it's really their job to decide. So it was the coolest thing for my kid to come to me and say, hey, okay, I really kind of think you may know a few things about this. Can you help me? Okay. So, and you baseball guys are really going to appreciate what happened with this. So at the end of his sophomore year, now remember, there was also some puberty involved in all this, which is wonderful. Going through some extra growth hormones, some testosterone. Okay, at the end of Cash's sophomore year, he was 165 pounds, okay, and 6'2". See that skeleton over there? Kind of what that kid looked like. Okay. Would you think that a 165, 6'2" person was pretty long, lanky, and thin? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Now, those of you that have had theory, you're going to really appreciate this too. He was really in the process. His freshman year, he weighed 150 and was just 6 feet tall. Okay. So his freshman and sophomore years, he was crushing it on the Granbury cross country team, doing lots of long distance training. He fit that protocol. That's sort of what he was doing. But during his sophomore year, and with him getting interested in some different things, he decided that baseball was really going to be the direction he wanted to go in. So he came to me and he said, I want to be able to generate more force. And he had a couple of other upperclassmen that he was looking up to. So he always saw someone and he was looking and listening and learning. And if you don't have someone in your life that you're like, huh, what are they doing? How's that working for them? You need to find someone. So in Cash's, it was a kid named Chance. And Chance was a skinny kid too, worked with a trainer, started taking nutrition seriously. So we worked out with Cash's numbers. So someone that has their book, turn over to our handy dandy charts on page 408. Y'all are gonna love to see how this works out. Okay, so what we started off with is, we started off with a male lean factor 1, which y'all know exactly what all these things that I'm saying mean, correct? Male lean factor 1, 165 pounds, and I automatically put him at 200%. So what was that caloric intake goal? Got it, Aaron?
3,490.
3,400. Looks wrong. Is there now?
He's 160?
165. You can shoot it up to 170 if it.
3,710.
3,710. Okay. So this is where we had to start off. Okay. Number one, he was just going through starting to build some appetite. So getting to 3,000 really wasn't that big of a challenge for him. We really started, he was a sophomore in high school. He was using MyFitnessPal. It was rocking, it was rolling. I had him sort of on a 30-30-30, especially that way, because remember, which one has, yes, to get the calories in, it helps to add fat. Why? 9 calories per gram. Okay, and it's still building surplus because he was never in danger of doing what? Storing. Okay, so then here's what happened next. What you have to do is, if you want to safely gain, you need to add 2 calories per pound of body weight. So right now, tell me 165 times 2. Because for each single pound, I needed to add 2 calories. What? Okay, so now all of a sudden, we're up to 330 calories. Someone do the math on that for me now. Okay, what kind of person am I? Okay, so here's the thing. If I hadn't added this, what would Cash have done with this? Stay the same. Okay, this was my building fuel. Does that make sense? Okay, so now that we added the building fuel, 5 weeks later, we reassessed. Whoa, it worked. Holy cow. He gets on the scale and he weighs 178. Okay, so let's replicate this math, okay? Replicate the math. Give me 178, lean factor 1 at 200%. Okay, now I need my 2 calories per pound. What was it?
356.
Someone do that for me.
4284.
That's the new number. Okay, so he made it work. His goal was to get to 200. Okay, but we weren't there yet. We remeasured. Okay, all of a sudden he hit 190. He is like love and laugh. Okay, do the math for me. Come on. And I've got him at 200% because he's playing baseball like crazy and he's an ecto. 4,146?
Yes.
Okay. Now give me my growing material.
380.
Give me my new total.
4526.
Okay, again, if we hadn't added the growing material, what would have happened? He would have stayed the same. Okay, so now, remember, we wanted to get you right here. Do the math with me.
4,364.
400.
Isn't that crazy? That is crazy. But that's the only way. And so some of my folks that are working with the basketball girls that are really trying to gain some muscle mass, you guys, if you're not providing this 2 calories per body weight, you're not giving them anything to build with. It's just 2 calories per pound of body weight. And you guys, it adds and adds and adds and adds and adds up.
So what about for a deficit?
Exactly. Start to take it away. Start to take it away slowly. Remember, it's the whole same thing with my sweet mama Sarah. Okay, slowly start to peel it away, to take away from this. Now, what Cash has learned about himself, he is 20 years old. Again, he's been on a ship now for the last 5 months. He has been crushing it as much as he could on a ship gym, okay? But he now knows that if he, because of his body, I mean, remember, this is him. Now, here's a question. If all of a sudden I took someone else that was not an ecto, that was not trying to grow, what would happen to this person? Yeah, the only thing that person could do with those surplus calories would be to store them as body fat. It's so interesting. But what Cash has figured out is, and you know, I mean, again, my baseball guys could probably kind of, Cash has found out that he's learned that when he weighed 202, he really was not as fast as he really wanted and needed to be. He was loving the mask because it was fun. So, but here's what's cool. What did he know he needed to do? He knew he needed to bring it back to here. Because here's what's interesting. Once we teach people these tools, they can kind of undo it. You guys, and we call this hacking. This is just hacking nutrition. Now, again, this formula is only going to work with a what body somatotype? An ectomorph. Okay? Now, if you have a mesomorph that is really still trying to build muscle mass, you guys, you might not have them at that 200% of their BMR every single day. Okay? You might only have them at 200% of their BMR on those days that they really are at 200. Because I had Cash at 200% of his BMR on days that we were watching football all day Saturday. Because he had to have these surplus calories. He just does. And so when we think about how challenging it is for endomorphs to lose, it's just as challenging for ectomorphs to gain. It really is. You know, we had to have some really uncomfortable conversations, and I told him he could never say this to me. He would get to the end of the day, and he would come to me and he'd say, Mom, I still have to eat 375 more calories. And I would say, shut up, because I would love to get to eat 374 more calories. Or second, here's your peanut butter jar. Okay? And when people say that they're not hitting their caloric goals, you guys, big time nutrient dense foods. I feel very sorry for people that either are allergic to nuts or don't like nuts or peanut butters and stuff like that, because you guys, peanut butters and cheeses are great ways to help you get to those caloric goals. What's so cool about both of those things that I just mentioned? They all have what? They're a great balancing tool that are a calorically dense food. Okay, so here's what you should need to do. Number one, this is when you ask yourself this question. If your client didn't change, do you need to change their program? Yeah. You were learning, you wrote a bad program, you fix it. If they changed in a way where they might have lost total body weight, but their body fat percentage went up, there needs to be a conversation and an adjustment. I'm loving the feedback that most of y'all are giving me. I mean, it's really sounding like things are moving in great directions. So, how many of you learned, you guys, this is basically these two units that we talked about, appropriate fat mass and appropriate lean mass gain. This is the way the math works behind that. Okay, so what I need to do is you make your adjustments for your next week. Because you guys, if you need to change up the meal plan, you need to change up the meal plan, which there really should be a meal plan adjustment no matter what. Because if you hit it perfectly, then there should have been some positive change. Because think about this. If your person is actually leaner, what should you really be able to do to their total caloric intake just a little bit? Should be able to bump it, because you want them to keep doing what? Because you got to stoke that metabolic rate. If you're not stoking the metabolic rate, it is dying. Okay? Okay, I'm going to ask you at some point in time, the body can only do 4 things. It can build, it can burn, it can store, or it can starve. Kind of took it all the way to the ATP express route there, didn't I? Okay. Any questions? Comments? I have not looked on Canvas to see your stuff that you've turned in yet. That's kind of on my, I'm going to be sitting in an airport doing some stuff. If you are looking for me early next week, I will not be around. I am leaving Saturday. I'm part of the whole study abroad Mexico mission thing that's going on, which if you're still wanting to talk about Mexico and mission trip, I need to talk about that with you. I'll be in Mexico from Saturday until Tuesday. It's going to be also 55 in the morning, 75 in the afternoon. Colorado summer weather. Sorry for y'all. Winning for me. But next time I will see you beautiful people will be next Thursday in class. All deadlines and dates are still rocking and rolling. I'm going to be sure that everything is opened up for you. Say, God, when you got it? Awesome. Be sure to put your cards in my hands.
We don't have videos.